Hey, Prince Magnum, got any cool ideas you could do with just shredded cheese? Yes, I do. Stick around, I'm going to show you.
Okay, let's get underway. For those of you who are not familiar with what we're doing here, uh, I have found over time that the best way to handle cheeses is just a good old box grater and get it whole. Um, Now, some cheeses, the more expensive ones, like this hickory smoked Gouda, come in kind of. It has like a plastic wrapping on the outside, but inside you'll think, well, gosh, this doesn't exactly feel like cheese. Don't panic. That's just because it's got a wax covering. So you'll actually see me peel that back, and it's just to keep the freshness of the cheese while still allowing it to breathe like it's supposed to. Um, just a lot of things that go involved in storing cheeses. Now, you just take the wax off and if you will, breach the containment. And then once you do all that, there's the cheese right there, ready and waiting. Now this is not a super soft cheese. Well, it's not a super firm cheese. I'm sorry. It's kind of soft. So grating it is not that difficult. I mean, and you'll see little time lapses through here. But basically, we used hickory smoked Gouda and, of course, just plain old ordinary sharp cheddar. Avoid the temptation of buying um, the already shredded cheese in the packages. I have found that that it just doesn't. It's not the same. It just doesn't taste the same. It doesn't quite have the flavor of grating your own. Is it worth it? Yeah, if you really like the flavor. But in a pinch, I understand. Hey, we all get in a pinch. Okay, so nothing special. It's all going into the same pot, anyways. So there you go. I mean, it's that simple. Um, with your box graters, please, please, please make sure you try to get one that's as wide as possible. Four sides is good. Even more than that is better, because it's just better overall. Don't buy those cheap one-sided ones, those kind of paddle ones. They're not really good for much of anything. I've had one before and I absolutely hated it. So I will tell you all right now, a box grater like this is a great investment. It's also wonderful if you want to make hash browns, but hey, that's another episode down the road. Okay? And bear in mind, again, if you go to do grilled cheese, this is what you should do. This is how it should look. Okay? And it makes great grilled cheese actually this way. Again, whatever your flavor is. All right. I know right now some of you are going, gosh, it's just kind of boring right now. You're just grating cheese. Well, I'm trying to show you that this is a very important step. Now, once you get all your cheese grated, get it in the bowl, and we just used a metal mixing bowl. Mix in a couple of tablespoons of cornstarch. More on that in a bit, but just mix it in. Get your tablespoons in there, and just kind of stir it around with your hand. Okay. Nothing fancy, nothing major, and your hands are the best mixing tools you could ask for this job. Just make sure they're clean, okay? Nobody working on their car and then coming in to do this job without washing their hands, okay? All right. Now, once we have done that, we're going to basically move on to the ingredient part, which is actually fairly simple. Basically, right now, you see me with a non-stick pot, okay? And I'm rubbing around garlic. Basically, just a little clove of garlic, just rubbing it in really good and hard, okay? I want as much garlic flavor in there as I possibly can get. I don't recommend kind of crushing it up. We want this as smooth as possible, and little chunks of garlic is not really what we're going for here, okay? Avoid the temptation of garlic paste and all that other stuff. Use the real stuff. It's cheap and it's processed less. Okay, so just use the real stuff in this case. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to kind of bring the pot up to a nice simmer and pour in apple juice or apple cider. Unfiltered is up to you. It's all the same. 12 basically 12 ounces is what we used for this, and then the other little thing you see in it, a tablespoon of lemon juice and a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Okay, you're also going to throw in a pinch of kosher salt, 2 pinches if you prefer. We did 2. Princess Faye likes a little bit of, a little bit of food with her salt. um, yeah, I'm teasing her. But basically that's it, and I know how to measure this out just by looking at it. All right, basically now it's up to a nice warm temperature. You might see a couple bubbles breaking, whatever, and just sprinkle in the cheese, a handful or 2 at a time, depending on the size of your pot for this, okay? And you're going to give this a stir every once in a while. You're going to add each addition in by hand, and you're going to stir it until pretty much you don't see much in the way of cheese. It's just all sauce, okay, if you will. And that's basically what you're going to see through this progression. All right. Bubbles breaking like that is okay, but do not let it come to a full-on boil. If it comes to a huge rolling boil, back off the heat as quickly as possible. And I know this sounds crazy, but throw in more cheese. I don't care if it's room temperature cheese, just throw it in there, because basically the heat will travel to the cold and basically kind of cool it off. You don't want your cheese to boil. That's a good way to break this sauce. Okay. Already starting to look like something. Look at that. Look at that. Nice cheesy consistency. Yeah. Now, while we're on the subject of fondues, this used to be one of the things that was all the rage in the 70s, and over time has kind of it's kind of faded into obscurity. But here at the end of this video, we're going to talk about some of the different things that basically what you're seeing will actually it's a very versatile thing, and you'll kind of see things. Yeah, you're starting to see things happening, and there you go. I mean, look at that sauce. I mean, look at that fondue. I mean, it looks great, doesn't it? This is easily, as I was doing this, quite easily one of the most satisfying things I've got to do on the channel. I mean, as far as food goes. So, there you go. I mean, you can see it just really coming together and everything. And right here at the last, you'll see it. Basically, this is the finished product in the pot. It looks great, looks very yummy. You see the bubbles slowly breaking. Just temperature management. And don't get in a hurry. Melt your cheese slow. Okay? So we're going to cut away, and we're going to talk about a few things on camera, and end it as usual.
Well, there you have it, folks. Simple fondue. Now, I'm going to tell you, be sure to do your batch on the stovetop. This particular design here for your fondue pot, absolutely perfect for keeping it warm, but not perfect for melting your cheeses. Okay. If you know your grocery stores, they'll be able to point you in the right direction of your cheeses for perfect for fondue. Now, some of you might be asking, Prince Magnum, is there? I mean, obviously, picking out your favorite, stuff to dip in fondue, not that hard, okay? As you can tell right here, we just got a few different things. Fantastic. All right, but what else can this stuff do? Pour it over cooked macaroni. That's the stuff now. Basically, it also doubles as a cheese sauce for macaroni and cheese. Now, I know some of you might be saying, well, that's an awful lot of work for macaroni and cheese. Here I have a standard box of the cheap stuff. And you'll find things on the back that kind of leave you questioning. For example, modified food starch. How is it modified? What is the starch? Leaves a lot to question. You'll see things like natural flavor. Well, what's the flavor? Hemlock's a natural flavoring. Okay, so because of the fact that information like this is very vague, I tend to kind of try to steer clear of things like this unless I'm in a big hurry. Okay, if you're in a big hurry, hey, I understand. We all got to eat, and sometimes time just doesn't allow for things like this. But if you do have the time, you should take the time, because let's face facts. When we start caring about how our other halves eat, well, that's when we're really showing them how much we love them. That brings us to the end of Surviving Romance. As always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I can't talk today, but that's okay. We'll leave it. Get out there and work on a project. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. And as always, if nobody has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.
Good night, ladies.